Fightful reported that Sammy Guevara is currently suspended from AEW following his no disqualification match with Jeff Hardy at the Rampage taping back on Valentine's Day. So we're talking about something that happened a month ago. We only first learned about it this week. It wasn't an immediate thing because he wrestled Powerhouse Hobbs in another no disqualification match on Collision 10 days later. He got destroyed by Hobbs, and that was his write-off. We don't know how long he will be suspended for and off television for. This is not his first suspension. He was suspended for 30 days 4 years ago after comments resurfaced from a podcast that he was on in 2016. Comments he made about Sasha Banks and what he would like to do to her. I'm not going to get into that again. He had to take sensitivity training for that. He apologized for that. Now they're going to be working for the same company. Maybe. With him, I don't know. It feels like this guy's on thin ice. You know, Sammy has been involved in at least two other incidents, two backstage incidents that we know of. One with Eddie Kingston, where Kingston, I think, pie-faced him, and then Eddie got suspended for 2 weeks. And then another one with Andrade, who sucker punched him. There's a lot of people that don't like Sammy Guevara. He sucker punched Sammy and still could not get fired. But Kevin Kelly got fired this week. Do you know how hard it is to get fired from this company? I'll get to Kevin Kelly in a minute, but in the match with Jeff Hardy, Sammy executed a shooting star press, and as he came down, his knee came straight down on Hardy's face. It was brutal, and Hardy suffered a broken nose, and there was a fear or belief that he may have been concussed. Anybody who watched that would think, okay, this guy is concussed. Now, they deemed that he was not concussed. After the match was over, they, I guess, did whatever testing on him, and they said, okay, he's not concussed. But at first, it looked like he may have been. In the moment, they did not know if he was or not. But you err on the side of caution. Now, the match was not immediately stopped. They did go right to the finish. The problem is that finish involved Sammy hitting Jeff with his GTH finish, which involves him kneeing his opponent in the head, which is not something you should be attempting with someone who you think might be concussed. As soon as he got the pin, you could tell Sammy was very upset over what had happened. It was an unfortunate accident. He didn't mean to do that. But because proper concussion protocol was not followed, Sammy got suspended. As far as we know, nobody else was suspended or penalized for what happened. That includes the referee, Paul Turner. That includes the doctor, Doc Sampson. That includes Jeff Hardy himself. Only Sammy. Now you might be saying, why would Jeff be suspended? He was the one who got hurt. Well, that goes to what they were told, and Jeff Hardy was participating in the finish that followed, so yeah, there's always a chance that, he could take some of the blame himself. But as far as we know, only Sammy was the one who was suspended. The way his knee slammed right down on Jeff's face, it looked awful. Looked like he was knocked into another dimension. Meltzer says that Sammy was told to go right to the finish. This is where I'm confused. And what he was told plays an important part in this. This is what we don't know. We don't know exactly what he was told. One version of the story is that Sammy was told to go to the finish and end the match. Another version, one that is sympathetic towards Sammy, is that there was a miscommunication between everybody involved. The issue here is not that he hurt Jeff on the shooting star press. That's not why he got suspended. The issue is what came after that. Now, Jon Moxley has talked before, and I mentioned this on the podcast when he did, about what he thinks the concussion protocol should be in professional wrestling, how he thinks concussion should be treated, or in the course of a match if you think someone is concussed. And I happen to agree with him where if there is this belief that somebody may be concussed in a match, you have a doctor and you have a wrestler watching backstage on headset who are in communication with each other in real time. Because there may be times where the wrestler can tell if someone is only selling or if it's part of the match. And they can communicate that to the doctor. The doctor is not going to be in the loop on spots that are planned and storylines and stuff, right? The doctor is there for one reason, to be on call in the event that somebody gets hurt. And then the doctor can come over and treat that person or make a determination as to whether or not the match should continue. That is the role of the doctor at ringside. The doctor is not part of the show. The doctor is not clued in about everything that is supposed to be happening in the match. But if you have a wrestler watching and they're on headset, they can communicate to the doctor and say, hey, it's part of the show. Or I think it's part of the show. Otherwise, if they think somebody is really hurt, you ring the bell and you stop the match right then and there. That's it. Full stop. You don't do your finish and then pin the guy. The match just ends. Now, that may not play well in the main event of a pay-per-view. I mean, imagine 5 minutes into the WrestleMania main event, it looks like Cody Rhodes may be concussed and the referee just calls the match off, right? But we're talking about people's health here. That's more important than any wrestling match. I think Moxley is bang on with that. We saw that recently, twice in WWE with ref stoppages. Remember when Giovanni Vinci, he got rocked by that Kofi Kingston dropkick in one of the New Day against Imperium matches. The referee called the match off immediately. And Vinci, I think he did end up being diagnosed with a concussion, but he walked off on his own power. Like when he left, eventually, he looked fine. Everybody looked confused, but that's what you do in that situation. The match on SmackDown with Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes when he went for that Spanish fly and took that terrible landing and almost broke his neck. Right? The match ended. That was it. The referee was right there. I think it was Ryan Tran. He was right there and he called the match off. Because that is what you are supposed to do. That's the way it should be done. I don't know what AEW's concussion protocol is, but it all boils down to, what did the referee tell Sammy Guevara? Where was the supposed miscommunication? This is on the referee and the doctor more than anything, because the minute it looks like somebody may be concussed, the match should be called off. Or you get the doctor over and then you can call the match off. You shouldn't even give the other wrestler the chance to go home and finish it. What is this, Mortal Kombat? Finish him. No, you ring the bell and you end the match. If you watch it back, Sammy didn't even know that he hurt Jeff at first. He couldn't see what happened. He didn't know that his knee landed on this man's that Jeff Hardy's face broke his fall. He didn't realize it. But the referee did. He was right there. He saw it. He immediately slid over to check on him. I mean, this really shouldn't be that hard. Now, where I could see there being a miscommunication is if the referee told Sammy to go to the finish or to go home. And Sammy took that to mean the planned finish, which was the GTH. There's a difference between go to the finish and cover him for the 3 count. Or roll him up and pin him. Right? 2 very different commands. If he was told to cover him for the 3 count and he elected to do his finish anyway, then that's on Sammy Guevara and he should be suspended. But if that's not what he was told, they may have thought that Sammy would have enough sense not to do a move involving kneeing the person with a broken nose and a possible concussion in the head, but you need to communicate in clear terms what it is that you want that person to do in that situation. Yeah, again, all of this confusion could be avoided by simply taking the decision out of the talent's hands and ending the damn match. But without knowing exactly what the referee said to him, I can't say whether him being suspended was the right move or not. It was poor judgment either way, because I don't think you hit that move when you know something is wrong. The referee is telling you he's hurt, something is wrong. This is not the first time one of the Hardys nearly lost their life in a match with Sammy Guevara. All Out, 2020. One of the worst examples of malpractice that I've ever seen in a wrestling match, where Matt Hardy took a backstage bump off of a scissor lift down through a table. He had his brain scrambled when his head smacked the pavement. He was gone, okay? This man was gone. It was clear as day watching it on TV. I'm not even in the building with these people, okay? I'm sitting here watching it on television and I can tell. His body went limp. Aubrey Edwards threw up the dreaded X, and they allowed the match to continue. Why? Because Matt Hardy wanted it to. He said, I'm fine. He wanted to continue. This guy had the wobbly legs when he tried to stand up. That should not be his fucking call to make. This is what Moxley is talking about. You can't leave that decision in the talent's hands because the talent is always going to want the match to continue. And if they are concussed, then they're not in the right frame of mind to make that judgment to begin with. I would hope that their policy is a lot better now than it was back in 2020. Because when Tony Khan talks about AEW being the safest place to work in wrestling, they have not demonstrated that in the past. That was 4 years ago. I sure hope their concussion protocol has been updated since then. But this is a great example of, even with a great concussion protocol, you still need people to actually enforce it. And that clearly did not happen here. I just don't know that we can say Sammy Guevara was the only one responsible for that. I don't know what this man has against the Hardys, but bad things seem to happen when they get together. I think they should keep them apart.